Hey everybody, Annette Dion
Hey,
here with Kathy Biehl. We made it. This is a pop-up. I make them pop-ups so I'm non-committal in case anything goes wrong. It's like, oh, they weren't expecting us anyway. It's February 4th. It's Tuesday, already the month of February. It's been I don't know, like negative fireworks all over the place. So we are here to get everyone together to get in a positive vibe. Um, Kathy and I were saying that we hadn't met in about a month. It's been a little while. It's been a few weeks. I don't think we met in the new year yet, did we?
I think once, I'm not sure. Who
It's
knows?
all
Time
a
is an illusion.
blur. It's
Time
all a
is an
blur.
illusion.
But anyway, welcome to Spirit Talk Podcast. I'm gonna kick off something today or tomorrow. This is kind of a prelude to that. Called Off the Ledge. And so, what I'm going to be doing daily is talking people off the ledge because we really need that right now. And those will just be short videos. So this is kind of, I'm considering this a little bit of a precursor to that. Are you down with that? Does that sound good to you that we talk everyone off the ledge here? Don't jump.
Do not jump. Won't do anybody any good if you jump.
So what have you been up to? Let us know.
Oh boy. Well, okay. Tons of political astrology, much
A
more than
lot.
I wish I, I wish I would. Bookkeeping, getting accounting done for taxes, and spending a terrific amount of time with friends. And also, I'll be honest, making excessive cocktails pretty much every single night. That's my strange new coping mechanism. But a couple of things, guys. All right. When Annette says talking people off the ledge, I can testify she can talk you off the ledge because she and I talk a lot. And occasionally I find myself on the ledge. Yes, even I. And possibly because I have to I am plugged in so much to what's going on that it's become clear that a lot of people really rely on my calm, my steadiness, and my
Yeah.
information. And
Yeah.
I've started sharing my talking points when I call Congress, and I'm finding people sending me messages, phoning me, freaking out, saying, I can't find it. Where's your talking point? And I
Yeah.
realized, all right, whatever is going on here is bigger than what I thought. So
Yeah.
I and speaking of talking off the ledge, I got very strict, and if you've heard her, very strict instructions from Annette to take a news break this weekend, and I actually was able to sleep until 9 in the morning Sunday as a
That's huge.
consequence.
That's huge.
So all of this means
Yeah.
you do have to periodically unplug, find a balance between keeping an eye on the nonsense that is going on. Let me suggest to you that a lot of it really isn't what it looks like, as
Yeah.
terrifying as it looks. And what I can tell you is since November 5th, I have had a persistent and unyielding calm in my core, which I did not have the last time this creature occupied the White House.
I love that.
I
Can I just stop you? I love calm core. I have a
so
calm core.
of calm core, so I want to let everyone know that I persist in Kathy's astrological cocktails. I should do that. That's a great idea. Thank you. Thank
You
you.
can make a little book and sell them.
I do know someone who makes goddess cocktails, book cocktails, whatever, but I should make astrology cocktails. I've certainly written about them. Anyway, bottom line here is eye on the prize. You're no good to anybody if you're in a constant state of upheaval. Know that, and I believe in this really strongly, that a lot of the truly outrageous stuff that happens is a deliberate smokescreen to keep you from seeing what is going on. And this whole tariffs nonsense was a shield for Musk getting into all of the different government agencies, among other things. So
Mm-hmm.
I
What
don't
like
see this. I don't see this persisting for months. I honestly do not. So if you look at it as day to day, I don't want to promise you that you're going to wake up some morning in March and go, "Oh my God, it's over." Although you might, you just might, but still, you got to take it day to day. Listen to the Talking Heads' Life During Wartime if you need to. Look at what's going on as being in a war if you need to, and take care of yourself and ground, and then look around and see what can I do today.
that, when you said the Talking Heads song, what popped into my head was that song by Sting from the 1980s. It was "I Hope the Russians Love Their Children Too." Do you remember that song? That was a huge song. And really that's where I am right now in terms of what we're going through. I mean, I know we're talking about Elon and we're talking about, the orange monster and all that. But this is all based in Russia. This all started there. Um, and I've been thinking about the children a lot, and I'm highly, highly disturbed by the news. So I am avoiding it because I know it's by design that it's a gut punch every single time. So I'm curious to know, like, because Kathy and I, we text and we converse, and when things are really like at fever pitch, anxiety wise, we've been texting one another and talking, and it helps a lot. So if you have a friend, everybody get a friend if you don't have one that you can do that with, like a debriefing almost. So I was driving to Salem on Saturday in a snowstorm. It was snowing pretty heavy, and Kathy sent me a text and what did you say? I need to be talked off or something. And so what I said, because it works for me, is did you notice that if you're not taking in the news at all, there's a different kind of energy and you feel really good? That's because they're doing this. It is by design. It's to horrify you. And speaking of children, like I hope the Russians love their children too. I'm very, very disturbed at what I just saw was that they're sending migrants to Guantanamo. And so this is the kind of stuff that I, as a human being, cannot just stand by and watch. And I'm real curious about Elon's chart, and I'm real curious about the Orange Monsters chart, and like you kind of alluded to. But just going back to taking a break from the news, we need it because if we don't get that, it's designed in such a way to really just suck you. Just think of yourself being sucked down a funnel. That is what it does. So, and I asked Kathy if she would like write what the discrepancy was that she felt. Did you happen to do that? It was just a suggestion that you would just kind of take note of how you felt different after you took a news break.
I slept.
You slept. Oh, that's huge.
No, I slept long, which was really, really good. So I
Wow.
actually had a Sunday that was like Sundays used to be decades ago in my life when I didn't work. I did laundry, I made bagels. It's really fun. I went to
Wow.
the gym, I watched an old movie. It was amazing. Like, wow, and I got so much done and I felt good and I read and like, wow, this is great. This is great. So I stayed pretty
Yeah.
much off social media. I did stay away from the news.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting too because this is a huge, huge shift from say a year ago. I had my eyes and ears to the news 24/7. Midas Touch was just a
Oh yeah.
go-to. I watched all their shows, and now it's just so fascinating that I'm being instructed don't look because you'll get sucked in. Be aware of what's going on. Like I know about there's protests tomorrow. I think at all the state houses in all 50 states. Find out about that kind of stuff. Participate, but don't get sucked in because that's what they need for you to do. So where do you want to start?
I want to start with what is going on astrologically this week and what it means for each of us. And then I want to talk about what's very likely to happen at next week's full moon. So today, as we're recording this, February 4th, Venus has moved into the sign of Aries. I call Venus the social director of the sky.
Oh, that's
Wherever,
today? That just
yeah,
happened today?
wherever Venus is, it's kind of like what we as a, you know, what the vibe is for what we value, the way we want to be. And so Venus has moved out of kind of drowning in the sorrow of all life and feeling everything really highly empathic, feeling so much from so many. She's now moved into huntress mode.
Oh,
And as I've said in other places, Venus is the planet of desire. And in most of the signs, her approach is, I'll just lie on this divan and let you go get what I want and bring it back to me. Venus in Aries is out of my way. I'm going after it. This is, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Joan of
yeah.
Arc.
So
Yeah.
this is huntress mode. So we're in
Wow.
huntress mode into March. Venus will retrograde and she'll be back in this mode later. So we'll have a lot of it. Venus is ruled by Mars, which is currently in a feminine sign. So we have the feminine in a masculine sign.
Wait, did you just say Venus is ruled by Mars?
No, at the moment, because she's in Aries.
Oh, I
So,
see what you're saying.
and
Oh, yeah,
Mars rules
I was
Aries.
confused.
Mars
Okay, that
rules
makes
Aries.
sense. Okay.
So thing one, everyone's going to feel their own inner pilot light starting to flare. People are going to be in the out of my way, I'm not waiting for anyone mode increasingly. That's thing one. Thing two, the first contact she makes once she's in Aries is an opportunity aspect with Pluto in Aquarius. This is exact, hold on, I can't keep all this in my head anymore. This is exact on the 7th, but we'll be feeling it from today until the 7th. So this like streamlines, intensifies. Venus and Pluto both rule desire, they both rule money, and you may find yourself just saying screw it and going after something that you did not have the nerve to do before. Pluto's in the sign of the collective. I would expect collective rage to start to be expressed very strongly.
Oh yeah, I'm
this
livid.
week.
I'm so angry. Are you? Do you feel it? I that's why I can't watch the news. I'm so livid. And Cheryl Clark just put prayers for the Venezuelans in Florida. ICE is taking them out of their restaurants and businesses.
Good.
Like
Yeah.
furious. I'm
Yeah,
so furious.
and I would also suggest, since this is so overwhelming, that we follow the lead of something that John Palowitz, is that how he pronounces his name? Palowitz? You sent me a Substack from this ex-preacher who
Oh yeah.
has
Yeah.
been making really, really wonderful things. And I posted it under posts on my YouTube channel, which is Professional Aquarian. And that is, pick the hill that you're willing to die on. In other words, pick one or two things that are your battle. And no one person can attack all this stuff. So
And I just want to, since you mentioned him, I want to alert people to who he is. The Substack that he writes is This Beautiful Mess, right? Just so people can find it. Go on.
Pavlovitz, that's it, Pavlovitz.
Yeah. He has a long last name.
But figure out what your priority is. For some people, it's the immigration issue, no matter what. Pick your battle and then go for it. And this week, we're all going to go for it. This week also, as Venus is making this contact with Pluto, the sun is meeting with Pluto. I'm sorry, the sun is meeting with Mercury. All right, now you're going to hear somebody talking about Cazimi. That's when they're really close together and they kind of they become one. You ought to get incredible clarity. And so a lot of stuff ought to be crystallizing and becoming incredibly clear as the week goes on. And it will be a collective clarity as well as a personal clarity.
Yeah.
And this will take us into the game changer of the Leo full moon coming next week. So before I get into that, is there anything about any of this you want to talk about, Annette?
Well, I just want to kind of confirm, like in the chat, there everyone is in a rage, and I last night at PNN, I was in a little bit of a rage. I was like fit to be tied. You know how I get, and I feel that collective rage rising up in this country, and like this, we're not going to take this. Enough is enough, right? That fed up energy. I'm wondering how what you see for the orange monster whose name I cannot utter anymore. Do you see that in March or sooner this gets shut down?
Okay. There is an aspect building in Elon's chart that will put the brakes on him. And it could come in a number of stages, but by Valentine's Day, the brakes are hitting him. Now, there are a lot of lawsuits that have been filed against Doge, against various agencies and the privacy breaches and stuff. And just a tiny bit of Law 101. When someone goes in and asks to stop behavior, when they ask for an injunction, the initial thing that a court orders is a temporary restraining order, which has a very finite amount of time. So when you see, oh my God, they just temporarily paused it, that's not that big a deal. No, procedurally, that is what happens. And then the parties are given an opportunity to brief and make arguments for whether this injunction should be extended, should it be temporary, should it be permanent. So I would not be surprised if there are various temporary injunctions that start coming out really soon, just given the number of lawsuits that exist. And by Valentine's Day, something looks like it will really put the brakes on him.
So we're talking about the orange monster right now.
No, I'm talking about Elon. I'm talking about Elon. Now, about the current White House occupant. I have been, if you've followed me for any length of time, you have heard me talk about a wrecking ball that has been going back and forth over the doorway to his career house. This is the planet Uranus, and it's a very destabilizing influence, and it brings change. So it's been pounding. Now, first it was pounding from one direction, pounding for another direction. On December 30th, it stationed direct. It's been sitting at the same place since December 20th. And at the Leo full moon, the moon makes a pressurized aspect at that, causing some kind of break, some kind of explosion. And it's really critical for Trump because it pulls in a whole lot of his chart. So the first explosive, oh my God, this is coming to an end event. I'm not saying he'll be booted out next week. Do not think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying something
that
I know, something that has been brewing, that's been tingling, that's been getting more and more destabilized will explode, and it will come in a way that none of us are going to be able to predict. It'll just happen. And this is the beginning of the wrecking ball making its final cross into his career house, which will happen exactly in March, when a whole bunch of other stuff will be going on that will affect his health and where he lives and his career. I will tell you that when this influence moved across the doorway to my career house, in the span of 6 to 8 weeks, every aspect of my life changed except my car. And where I lived, my job, my best friend left the country, my family structure changed quite unexpectedly. 2 very quick marriages. Like, what? And then my relationship fell apart. The only constant was my car. So that happened to me without my having, you know, this other stuff going on. So there will be, uh, just know that, and as this happens, it blows things up in Elon's public life. It doesn't directly touch anything in his chart. It simply happens in his career and public sector. And yes, the same thing is happening for
OM.
the person who's currently occupying the Naval Observatory. Okay, so it's happening to the guy that's currently no one's seeing anywhere, who got sworn in as vice president. There, so he and current White House occupant are both having this explosive event happening, and it involves everybody's career and public reputation. So I will point out in this, getting back to the guy that's getting into all of our agencies and accessing our personal data, the interplay between his chart and NATO's chart is extremely hot. And starting February 9, NATO is building to action, not talk, action.
Yeah.
And this individual may well be part of it. So, you know, don't sit and go, oh my God, the FBI's been gutted, the DOJ's been gutted, nobody's going to stop this. Oh, you might be surprised.
I don't think that the government that we had is gone.
There are many who have that theory.
It's not a theory, it's an impression. It's a very strong psychic impression. If you were in a position that you could contribute to the world not being annihilated because you had years and years and decades of experience in your chosen field in the political and military arena, in a time like this, you wouldn't just bail. They can fire you, but you're a human being who can still communicate, who can still act as a private citizen. And I'm not sure, like, where Elonia is getting the idea that he can control everybody's action and moves no matter what. I mean, unless he has everybody under surveillance. I mean, like, I don't think that Biden stopped talking to our allies, our world leaders that are our allies. I don't think he just is like not taking their calls.
I would agree with that.
So, and also, this full moon in Leo, the orange monster has Leo rising, right? He doesn't have a lot of Leo.
It goes across his angles, and it also hits his Mars. So it pulls his Mars in. So yes, so it makes a giant, it's what's called a T-square. It makes this giant, you know, across the main angles of his chart. There we go. And then they both go bam up to Uranus, going explode. The words that I have used, I just finished my forecast for the Leo full moon, and things like there'll be a giant cosmic stop. There'll be thunderclaps. There'll be things just kind of shaking, breaking, and a lot of people leaving situations. A lot of people stopping and going, "This is not what I'm about." A lot of changes in perspective.
Definitely.
And for each of you individually out there in YouTube land, the personal ramifications of this are that you're not going to waste your time in situations where people don't see you or get you or are trying to put you down. There's a complete, like, nope, over it, over it, over it. There are some rather strange and dangerous things being advocated in the chat, and I would encourage you not to use that phrase.
I don't know what you're.
It's with an M and then an L.
I see that.
Yeah,
why are people saying that?
Well, that's not a wise thing to be talking about in the chat. Please do not do that. Please don't do that. Anyway,
I think that's jumping the gun for, you know, anyway.
So this is going to be a moment of, and it doesn't have to be a really, well, there will be really high drama, but just expect
You
The
think?
right. Just expect the sorting hat is going to be back at work. The Hogwarts sorting hat. Even if you were previously sorted to one school, you may find yourself going to a different school or being in a different group, walking around. There's a real strong vibe of I am not going to waste my time and energy on people that undervalue me. That said, before we get to the full moon, people are going to be screaming to have their voices heard. So you
Yeah.
combine everybody going into warrior mode with an escalation of people screaming to be heard. And this is your moment to do what is brewing in you that you feel you must do. For some of us, it is jamming the phone lines of our senators and breaking the system, which we did this week. Phone lines went down in the Senate. For some people, it's actually showing up at the local offices of their representatives. For some people, it's heading in the street. For some people, it's, standing in front of the Treasury building and saying, no, you don't.
Yeah, and we need that kind of power to make changes all around the globe. We need that kind of, we're not going to let these a-holes determine how we're going to live our lives. And the hatred that they're spewing is like, that's not who we are in the least. Like, I was thinking about today, like, there's very, very few people that I've encountered in my own life that are as heinous. Probably nobody, right? That are that hateful. And that's just not who America is. And I know that we are going to have the inner resolve to stand up. And the thing that's so hard for us to really see, I think, collectively, is that we need this pain right now. Not in this way, perhaps. Maybe we want it a different way. But we need to see what we've allowed. I have been on a soapbox for 5 years. President of you and many other people have just been like screaming from the rafters how dangerous this person is. And so many were just like, well, it'll work itself out. Well, we have gone past that point. And I really hope that we're moving into a time where when you say something about our government, that people don't tell you to shut your mouth. Because if we're in a democracy and it's like taboo to talk about politics, then where really are we? I mean, and this like intolerable scenario that we're seeing, this nightmare that we're seeing unfolding in front of us, gives us really no choice unless we really are unconscious. Like, who can stand by and be maybe working in a restaurant or having dinner at a restaurant and seeing ICE come in and haul Venezuelans or whatever, whoever they're taking out of their jobs in restaurants? Who can stand by and go, oh, well, it's too bad. Too bad we voted for Trump. I mean, come on.
Well, the more it's not your truth until it hits you, till you're inconvenienced, till
Right,
you can't
right.
get what you want in the grocery store. Blah de blah de
Exactly.
blah blah blah. So, and to that, I will say, um, there
Keep it
is
going.
a
Right.
benefit, and it's not putting your head in the sand
Right.
to hang
Right.
out as much as you can in the energy of where you want to go, as opposed to the hellhole that is opening up all around us, because energy flows where attention goes. And there's something to this. And so if you actually operate more and more and more from the vantage point of focusing on a different way, a higher way, a better way, maybe project yourself in the future a couple of months.
Yeah.
Or listen to the meditations that Annette leads
Yeah.
on Thursday nights, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It's just 15 minutes. And two
I
years
have,
of meditations that we did at Grassroots of Democracy, 2 years. And a lot of people have those.
and you can create you can tap into a greater, like a light grid. That's stupid sounding phrase, but there's like an energy grid that's
No, I
created
do. You said it, and
by
then when
the,
when you said that, I was like, I love that, the light grid, because that's
yeah,
what it
it's like
feels
an
like.
energy grid of people going into something, creating a buffer zone or a different way of doing this because um,
I've been, I've
that's
been, uh, I've been hearing about groups that are gathering virtually too, doing just that. What you're talking about,
mhm.
besides us, and that's
Yes.
big. But before we move on, I just want to address there are people in the chat that keep on saying how nervous and scared they are and how they can't get calm. And I'm just going to challenge you. Have you been watching the news? Because if you're watching the news, it's going to affect you that way. It's by design. And it's really important that we stop and we really, I'm going to be a little preachy. Stop yourself and go, is that what I want to create for my future? And I'm not the only one saying this. I'm happy to say I'm hearing this everywhere on YouTube, different spiritual teachers and leaders. It's like that's where we have to be because we are collectively creating our reality. And the more people that are aware that we are collectively creating our reality through our thoughts and pass it on, the more we're going to see this shift happen. And I think it will happen sooner. I don't know if that's something that you can see, but I do feel like things are going to shift quickly because we won't be able to handle what they're doing to people. We're not, these are crimes against humanity, and as far as
Mhm.
Alonia goes, I'm sorry, it's like Hitler on the loose right now.
Oh, no, he wants to control the world. This is part of his world
Isn't
dominating.
it? Isn't it like really, really similar? So many aspects of it. Like, what was Hitler trying to do?
Well, they're all crazy people. I mean, honestly.
Well, for
Uh,
one, yeah.
so
Yeah.
anyway, everyone, consider this. I said everybody has their own way. Everyone has their own hill. Everyone has their own
Yeah.
topic or issue or approach. But one thing that is a commonality is banding together in this energetic creation of a different reality,
Yeah.
and that actually has a very, very strong impact on the way things are going. And this is
Definitely.
different than the way other revolutions have been waged because people are meeting on the internet and doing this. There are entire huge subcultures on TikTok, which I will not go near, and on YouTube of what's called the 4 a.m. club, the dreamers, the people who have been having dreams at the same time of night, who have this absolutely irrationally positive, calm view of things and coming together and creating communities and doing visualizations together. And this is changing things. I
Yeah,
don't know
it
if anyone,
is.
if you observe something, your observation is part of the experience and affects whatever you're observing. There was a philosopher, Schrödinger, who had this thing about you put a cat in a box and is the cat dead or alive? You do not know until you open the box. It could be either, both are possible. So we're in this weird dual reality thing right now. And anybody who's watching this, I think, wants a different reality. And the more we focus on the energy of that different reality and the astrological aspects do support that.
Yeah,
We
that's
will
really
be in
good.
it soon.
Yeah, that's really good to have that reinforcement. Like the planetary, whatever's going on astrologically supports this. And I want to mention too on that topic of using our thoughts. Why is it that prayer and intentions and meditation, why is it that humanity has been practicing that for eons? Like, why would we be engaging in prayer, right? Because it works, and intending something in your mind actually works. And there is research and science out there that shows that. So if you look it up, that when people were observing, scientists were observing particles, the particles energy particles, they tended to go in the direction that the scientists thought those particles would go. So if you really
Right.
want to immerse yourself in that kind of, science, What the Bleep I mentioned before, right? That movie, because you were
What the
talking
bleep
about
do we know?
Dr.
Hmm.
Emoto and the
Hmm.
water, like you can have a glass of water. This is coffee in my Kamala mug, but you literally can get a glass of water, and here right here, this is empty, but this is a glass, and it says grateful on it. I have another one that says blessings, and if you put water in here and you think grateful, right, when you drink that water, like if you put it under a microscope, you would see a beautiful crystalline shape like a snowflake. But if you said I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, it would be ragged and ugly.
And remember how much of our bodies are water. So if you're
Yeah.
bombarding yourself with really anxiety ridden or hateful thoughts, that's screwing up the water in your body. And the more you focus on, engage in things that make you feel calm and happy and remind you why it's a good thing to be alive,
Yeah.
you're putting the water crystals, water molecules in your own body into a healthier condition.
And it seems like it's like a contradiction that when you calm down and you're happy and blissful, that you're not helping, but nothing could be more helpful. Energetically, nothing could be more helpful than to keep the energy high. Even if you are in a protest, even, like just keep that energy high. It's really, really working. We're still here.
Has anybody ever been to a midnight Christmas Eve service? You're in a
Yeah.
darkened church, and little candles are passed around, and somebody lights a candle in the front, and then the candles, everybody starts lighting the candle of the person next to him, and it spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads until the entire uh, whatever sanctuary is completely lit by this
Uh,
blazing candlelight. That's what we do
that is what
when
we're doing.
we engage in our own joy, and then we start spreading it around. I cannot encourage you enough to hang out with people whose company you enjoy. It's not trivial. It's actually very, very important at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, and we know about this stuff now, whereas like maybe 100 years ago, people didn't really know. Like there's no research from then, although they were, just sort of moving around the edges of it, like Nikola Tesla and all the rest of them, Einstein. They were kind of dabbling a little bit and trying to figure out how energy works. But now we know. Now there's been lots and lots more research that our thought does affect our reality. And plus, it's fun to hang out with fun people, don't you think? We've got like over 400 people here. It's fun to hang out with fun people. And I just want to say, too, that whoever's talking a positive story, notice that you gravitate towards that. Have you noticed that? If you see a news story and the headline is something hopeful, I know it's kind of hard to find. But if you do, aren't you inclined to listen to it or to watch it? And I'm keeping that in mind when I'm writing my Substacks now. Like, what do people need to read for a headline that's going to make them feel like, well, maybe there is hope? We can't give up hope. That's definitely not permissible. So, speaking of astrology, what do you see in the United States chart? Do you want to talk about any
Well,
of that?
this full moon is going to motivate the populace, all right?
Oh, it's
It
all over
will
the place. So
actually,
it's good. It's
yeah,
showing up everywhere.
it won't be hitting the US chart as strongly as it does you know who's. Hang on, let me find the US chart here.
The orange
Turning the
monster.
light on briefly, sorry. Okay. Um you
We're in the ground.
know, there's going to be also just let's just say that there's a planet of that expands everything it touches. Some people say, "Oh, it's, it's a beneficent, it brings good fortune." It brings more of whatever it touches, and that's the planet Jupiter. It has been retrograde since the beginning of October. Interesting time, right? And it's stationing direct today as
Oh,
Venus is
really?
entering into Aries,
Oh,
and it's going to, and the way things are going, every direct state, well, try not to put this into, there are multiple moments this month of an increase in information flying that has to do with stuff that's been going on in the background for months,
oh,
and
okay.
bringing it out, bringing it forward. And this is one. There's another big one around the 23rd. Just so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be bringing things up, bringing things out, and having a lot to do with investigations and behind the scenes actions that we didn't know about. Read into that what you want.
And that, like around the full moon, you mean?
Well, there's this week, there's around the full moon, there's around the 23rd, but then I mean, I could go through the aspects of the month and show you that tick, 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 tick. But we'll have much more of a focus. I'm sorry, I looked at a very interesting comment. There will be a lot more information increasingly coming out about what our enemies have been doing. And that's not that may start now. It may be more towards the end of the month, and it continues into early June. So this is like nonstop rollout. And people have been asking stuff about Kamala. I will say that as Jupiter moves forward, it is going to move. Well, first off, this full moon activates her
All you need to
planet
know.
of good fortune. That this could start to bring a lot of things forward for her. And as Jupiter moves out, finishes its time in Gemini, it's going to move across her ascendant, which is really expansive for her. And then it crosses her North Node, which is her mission.
Oh, yeah.
Jupiter on her mission. Her mission. Okay, people, she's not going to be in a hole. No. And stuff starting to move and come forward
Yeah.
begins with this full moon on the 12th. So people say, how can this happen? Well, I have various scenarios in mind, but the best advice I have heard is when you go to a restaurant and you place an order, you then don't go into the kitchen and stand there and watch them make it. You
Some
just
people
sit
would like to.
yeah, I know. You sit and you wait. So I don't think she's out of the picture at all. My suspicion, and actually it's more than a suspicion, the way things look, and because of the political realities, and because of what is going on in NATO's chart, it is most likely that action starts coming out of our European allies that reveal things that either we couldn't get all the pieces for, or that it was just too dangerous to expose here because of pockets of people with a lot of artillery, like my
Right,
neighbors.
right.
So I think that, and we're moving into a window of increasing disclosures and increasing disclosures, and it looks like something is going to happen that breaks all the rules. Gee, big surprise, something that has not happened before, and things will proceed in a way that has not happened before. So when people say there's no decertification process, well, technically, no. There's no constitutional way for ... I put it to you that
Yeah.
this is not going to go on for a year. I doubt it's going to go on into the summer, which I hear some people saying. I think it starts blowing open increasingly very, very soon, and that the playing field is radically different by the end of March.
And he breaks all the laws and all the rules, and like, so why do we have to follow laws? Because he's completely lawless, completely. What's so Jupiter went direct today. What sign and what sign?
Gemini.
All right, so, and he's a
Which is
Gemini. The orange monster's a Gemini.
right, but it's not on his. It's going to go over his the planet that rules his house of health and his own Uranus, which is like his own rogue actor. Hang on a second, I'll tell you when that is going to happen. I don't happen to know when it hits.
I want to point out too that it's the year of the snake, and in ancient, like, Egyptian history, and that culture, the snake, and probably other cultures, was associated with the goddess.
So by early April, Jupiter is going to move across his Uranus.
The orange monster. Yep. The orange monster.
I'll be surprised if he's still
with us.
No. There's a very probable health impact after all of this.
We've been talking about that for forever. And then, people always ask me, how is he just, because he doesn't take care of himself at all. How is he even upright anymore? And I always say, he made a deal with the devil. That the devil would, keep him
I don't know
if he sold his soul. That's my little joke.
There is a question here about, I'm a political science professor. I have to stay in tune with reality. My students count on me. Any tips that can help me? When we get done with this, I am going to post in the comments a link to a litigation tracker website that will show you the number of lawsuits that have been filed since January 20th. The first one happened minutes after the, let's call it swearing in. We'll just use that word.
Yeah, the joke, the reality show inauguration.
So a lot of this, and remember, well, maybe not. Mars is retrograde now. Mars is a planet of action, and in retrograde Mars goes back over old business, undoes a lot of stuff. But when Mars goes direct, anything that is initiated while Mars is retrograde has a very strong probability of being undone. No, it's not at Democracy Docket. I will put it in the comments when we're done.
Kathy's a lawyer too, in case anybody doesn't know that. So she knows of which she speaks.
There's also a way that each of us can file a notice of privacy violation because of our own personal data being breached. And I will put a link to a template for how you can do that also in the comments. That is actually already on my professional Aquarian channel under posts. There's already a link to that, but I'll put it in the comments here when we're done. So bottom line is, a lot of this stuff is going to get undone. There are lawsuits in place that have extremely strong grounds. And I expect more and more injunctions to start coming out. The executive order that paused some of the grants that had been authorized he's so irritated the judge that it's, disingenuous. It went from a TRO to a temporary injunction or something. It's been enjoined. All right. And this is going to happen with more and more and more things. The big worry, of course, is how much of our data has already been given to someone who has no right to it. And we all have our suspicions.
Who that is.
Yeah. And I think that's a very, it's likely. So, but there are things that can be done. And if you sit and you go, oh, I want to see handcuffs, I want to see people in jail. Let's focus on stopping this stuff. And then we can
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say too that we're moving out of a time. I feel this strongly where we're going. Oh, you have to come and rescue us. Like all that. Like you have to tell me when. Like I don't mean us. I mean there's a general kind of an attitude with some people there that that it's gonna just some external force is gonna control your fate and your destiny. We have to participate in this.
Oh
We have
yeah.
to participate in this. This is really the about face. Everybody heads up, rise up. We really have to get out of as a collective any energy of come and do this for me, right? A lot of psychics and astrologers on YouTube have been taking a lot of abuse. We've talked about that before. Well, you said this is going to happen. Well, you said that, and people do that with the Democrat. Oh, why don't the Democrats do this? Why don't? Okay, well, if the only thing that you do is that you sit and visualize the Democrats, like winning and people taking charge, and just being actively engaged in being the solution. Even if you're just sitting there thinking about something peaceful rather than I'm in a disaster. Somebody come and rescue me, right? You know what I mean? It's really
So
important.
two things I want to say. First off, there's a conversation about should I get LifeLock. I would encourage people to look into freezing your credit. You can just run a search for how do I freeze my
Oh,
credit,
good idea.
and I would do that. I would do that, and I have done that. Okay, and secondly, um, come back thought. Oh, those of you who say, "Oh, the Democrats aren't doing anything," I would remind you, perhaps you do not know, that the House was out of session when Elon started his invasion of these various agencies. They came back in session today on February 4th, and on February 3rd, the day before they came back in session, the minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, issued a 10-point plan for what they were going to do. Now,
Yeah.
so there is action going on. I would encourage you to look for AOC's like her Instagram account. She had a long live, and there's stuff you can find it on YouTube,
Good. Yeah.
describing like, here's what we're doing, here's what you can do. And she's clearly somebody who's worked in the Bronx. Okay, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And
street
we
smarts
really,
are great with this
uh,
woman.
she's amazing. And we really have to remember, too, that there are representatives, right? We're going back to like basic principles of democracy. We're supposed to participate and they're supposed to represent what we want them to participate. They're standing for us. So I really think this is a shakeup for an entire American population. I really feel like it's a shakeup to get us to take our power and to go, okay, if I want AOC to do more, if I want to support that, I'm going to support that. I'm going to write to her. I'm going to, do the protesting, whatever it is. If you love Hakeem Jeffries, send him some support, send him some money. Like, be part of this healing. We're in an absolute crisis. And we have to say no and know that we are representing the United States of America. We are horrified by how this is looking to the rest of the world. And it's really, really critically important that we show the rest of the world that we're not just going to sit by and go like, oh, if they're just taking migrants to camps, that's okay. These people, some of them are picking our crops.
Oh, it's going to hit everybody so soon. So soon. The actual
Absolutely.
personal impact. I have a friend who, very hard-headed, just a
Yeah.
zero-degree Taurus. I have a friend who has, for years, taken it upon herself to try to get through to the people that she grew up with in Midland, Texas, which is massive oil country.
Yeah.
It's where W grew up, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And she's been smiling and saying things. People have been nuts. They've really not want to have anything to do with her. And now her new tactic is Elon's got your personal confidential data. How do you feel about that?
Exactly.
And
This.
and that's what I don't understand, that the Republicans in Congress aren't acknowledging that their own financial information has been compromised and that this man has the ability to mess with their getting paid. I mean, there's a personal thing at stake here.
Now,
Anyway.
did you always know that because I feel like I always knew that would be the thing that would turn this huge like Titanic of a ship around, is like when they feel it personally.
Oh no, things don't happen until it hits you personally. It has to be your
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
Unless you have empathy in your skill set.
We all do. It's just buried in.
Oh, I know. I have a longtime libertarian friend that I used to have. It's longtime friend who was libertarian, and I would say to him, yeah, my heart actually does bleed. Like that's just the way I am. But a lot of people don't, and until it hits them in their own money, in their own family, unfortunately, it's not real. Well, this is becoming real for a whole bunch of people now.
And I think that this is a necessary realness. It's too bad that it had to come to this, but this is the thing that will shift this in a huge way. We have to save our democracy. Remember Elijah Cummings when he was talking to Michael Cohen when Michael Cohen was in court?
Yeah.
When you're dancing with the angels and they ask you, what did you do to help save democracy? What will you say? And you know what? I've been thinking about death a lot lately because my dad passed away last week. And happy birthday, by the way. It was on your birthday.
I know, and it's so weird.
And I was thinking about like your epitaph, that what you'd put on your gravestone at the end. And it just popped into my head today that I want mine to say, I made a difference. Don't you? I got chill bumps. He's probably in the room with me, right? I made a difference. And that like when you know that in your heart and soul, there's nothing missing. There's nothing missing in your life if you just know in your heart and soul, I made a difference. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, right? It's kind of cool to think about that. This life that we're in, what's it going to mean at the end? What do you want people to remember you for? And be like, I was on the right side of history, right? I helped to save American democracy. I put all my heart and soul into it, and it was worth it for the future generations, for the generations that are here now. We all have. I have the cutest little nephews, grandnephews. Like for them, for the children. Look at what they're doing to our Department of Education. I was like, no, 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 no. I'm in a mode of like, let's push everything aside. But I'm immersed in this, so I can't push this aside. But just for the American people, like, let's push everything aside that's distracting us from the job that needs to be done right now in this moment. And I really do feel people rising up and answering the call. And it's giving me a lot of hope. Do you feel that too? A lot of hope.
Everybody's got a bit of Xena Warrior Princess in them. Maybe it's Wonder Woman. I don't know who, but firepower is within all of us now. And see what you are, what energy just rises up organically in you. Don't think about it. What is it that is your task? What is it? And it could be on a day-to-day basis that the mission changes, but this energy is going to keep us all from lying in a fetal position on the floor and sucking our thumbs.
Actually, too, I mean, you know how hard we've been working to save our democracy over the past 5 years, especially. I'm actually feeling a little bit relieved that that now it's like, see what I mean? Like, see, this is what I was talking about, right? And so that kind of gets people on board too. Adam Kinzinger is having a meeting on Thursday. I did see what Warren mentioned that. So look up Country First. Look up those organizations that got together or that formed during the Kamala Harris campaign. You mentioned find your inner Wonder Woman or your superhero. There was one that was Linda Carter was part of it, right?
Oh yeah, that was the Geeks and Nerds for Harris. That was
I would like
wonderful.
to see if they're working together again, because this is the time to be having those Zoom meetings again. And I hope that all that movement has reconvened now. So let's make that happen if it hasn't already. I would think that it would.
Just note that things are gonna come to a head next week. All right, choose
Because
your
of us.
battles.
Because
Choose
of
your
us.
battles. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we're winding down. Is there anything? Thank you for sharing my information. I don't know if you can find me on Grassroots of Democracy, but the website has the song about January 6th. I have a song called We've Got to Come Together. I'm going to start posting it and reposting it and reposting it. It'll be on my community page. I'll do that before the day's done. Because that's the energy that we're in right now, like we've been talking about. If you want a Kamala One mug, I got it when we go off the air here. I need to ship out the ones. These are for sale on my website, psychicannetteDion.com. They're $35 and that includes shipping. You wouldn't believe how expensive shipping is, but this is a nice heavy mug. And if you love coffee, I have a little coffee pot and almost the whole thing fits in this mug. It's a favorite. So it's a high quality mug and it has a great message and it's really great to see that Kamala won and affirm that. And these would be free when you book a reading because these are the ones that weren't dishwasher safe, but I'm going to give them away to people who book a 50-minute reading. So and remind me when we talk. PsychicAnnetteDion.com. And most of you know what I do and the rest. Please go there and join us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the Psychic News Network right here. All right. I think that's good. Is there anything you want to add or you want to just share how to find you and all that?
Three places for people to look for me. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. I do private readings. I have forecasts for everything imaginable. I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and there's a monthly Ask Me Almost Anything where people get to actually ask me questions. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, and I have a playlist called Election 2024 and Beyond that is all of the political collaborations that I've been doing with Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl, and until recently, Andy Brewer. And we've been there frequent, and we discuss what's going on astrologically, and I really try to put it into normal terms. So there's all kinds of stuff you might find useful there. We do look at lots and lots of people's charts. The final thing is I have a group on Facebook, if you're still on Facebook, called the Astro Insight Lounge, and people post astrology in the news, like things happening in real life that are acting out the aspects that we've been going on. It's mostly political, but not entirely.
Great. So normal conversation for abnormal times.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to people in the chat who have the wrenches, who keep the trolls away, and the people that have been sharing my information. Thank you. You really restore my faith. You keep my faith in human goodness going, to just selflessly like put my information up and to come here and to share our videos and it's this kind of love that wins the day. Elon's, they're done. They're done. You're out of here, right? Let's keep the vibration up. And Psychic News Network is tomorrow at 7 Eastern time. So that's all for now. Thank you. Thank you.
Check the comments again in a little bit because I'm going to put those two resources in them.
Yeah. Okay. So check in the description. Oh, are you going to put it in the comments?
Yeah, because I can't edit your description box.
Okay. Send it to me and I'll add it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Namaste. Bye-bye.